months before I received anything. She was nice enough to forward me your letter explaining that you found my claim to be unfounded. I had some issues with your letter. Do I have to readdress what the issue is? Should I readdress it, or you already know what it is? Do you all understand what the issue is?
We all understand what your complaint was, yes.
Okay, you all do. Okay,
Right?
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Yep.
You understand?
all right.
I went down.
You went down?
Yeah.
As did I.
Okay, good. Well, I had asked Ashley that if you were to come down, I would like to speak with you about it. But nobody came to the house and knocked on the door, and I'm there 24/7. So nobody did bother to come to the property, to the door, and ask me to join you outside so I can show you what I was talking about. So, anyways, in regards to your letter, you wrote in the first paragraph about my snowmobile trailer, where it's stored. And then further in the letter, you go and indicate on the last paragraph that you found no findings, and you felt that no employee would ever walk through my property where you were looking. You were looking in the wrong place, which is why I wish you would have approached me at my property and talked to me. You were looking on Lakeview roadside. My complaint wasn't for Lakeview roadside. My complaint was for Woodland Ave side. I am a corner lot. So you said you have pictures. So I don't know what pictures you took, but I took my pictures as well. My complaint was never for Lakeview roadside. Where you were looking was definitely where you did not belong.
I don't belong on Lakeview Road, is that what you're saying?
You claim that on your last paragraph, there is no evidence that a large branch is blocking a trailer, as you allege. In fact, there is no brush or branches located adjacent to or within your property boundaries that could, in any way, be attributable to the highway department's trimming. Rather, the only visible debris are a few piles of brush located near the trailer.
Is this what you're talking about?
No.
That trailer right there?
You're on Lakeview Road.
I am on Lakeview Road.
I said, this is all in regards to Woodland Ave. I am a corner lot, that area right there. There is a section on that property where I drive my trailer in and out during the winter season when we go snowmobiling. Off season, it stays in the other driveway.
You're talking about this side?
Yeah.
Where that bush was trimmed?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you said that that was a problem.
Mm-hmm.
You received a letter from us and you talked to Jason last year and were told to trim that back off the road. You chose not to. You were told that the highway department was going to trim it if you didn't trim it back. You chose not to trim it back, the highway came and trimmed it. I don't see that that is a problem for the town.
When I received the letter from the town stating that they were going to be trimming, I called the highway department and spoke with Jason. Jason and I, Mr. Benoit and I had conversation on this. He never told me that I had to trim the burning bush. I told him to stay away from my landscape beds. I have 13 landscape beds in my property. I do take care of them.
That's why I took pictures, and I don't see anywhere that we encroached on a landscape bed.
That is a landscape bed.
And this is the road you're talking about.
It is hacked. It's clearly hacked. If you know anything about burning bushes, they're spherical. That is not. It's been totally clipped and sheared completely straight up, almost straight up.
Okay.
So you did clear all of that. You did hack that whole entire side. Understand, my property line is out in the middle of the road. And in the 25 years that I have lived there and built that house, I have slowly given people, the neighborhood, land so that we can try and move in and out of that lane. It has always been a single vehicle passing lane. Not a passing lane, single vehicle lane, period. We've always had to wait on each end of the road, whether you be up at the four-way intersection or down on North Street, we always have to wait for people to come through. It has been that way for years. And over the years, little by little, between the front yard on Lakeview Road and the side road on Woodland Ave, we have given property time and time again to try and allow people to pass instead of waiting on each end of the lane, of the road.
So you're saying you don't want the town to maintain those roads any longer? Is that what you're asking? Is that what you're saying?
Where did you hear that in my conversation?
But
So
you can't
anyways,
have it
getting
both
back to
ways.
it.
You can't have it both ways. You can't ask the town to maintain the roadway and then tell the town to go pound sand because you don't like it that the town maintained the roadway in a way that you didn't like.
Those brush were nowhere near hanging out in that road.
Okay,
You should have seen it
So-
before Todd clipped it all down, because they were not out in the road. They were not encroaching anybody's area. I have given so much land so people can pass through that area, and you come along and you just decide, oh, this must be the road, this must be the end of her property, let's just clear it. That's not fair.
okay, so where's the other brush that you're talking about? Because this is the
So
road.
I told Jason
This
that
is the
if there are
road.
any trees, because I have boundaries, my borderline is trees. And your department wants to call it, Todd wanted to call them woods. They're not woods. They're single lane of trees is not considered woods. So therefore they left all the debris there. And Todd should have been here because he can attest that he knows it was left there. Because Paul just left this whole area, lost his load further up the street. I don't know if you want to call it, if it's still Elm Street or Old East Brookfield Road, but he lost his load. And he wasn't coming back. Because I caught Todd as he was just leaving Woodland.
So, you went to the property. Did you see any debris that was
I was looking at the trailer from the road she said. I
the
didn't-
Lakeview roadside? You
Yeah,
didn't go
I
up Woodland?
I didn't see it from the other side.
Okay,
I-
I did,
I
and
did.
there's no brush over there. Did you go up Woodland also?
Yeah, but I didn't see like a trailer anywhere over there, so I wasn't looking in the right spot.
No,
I
there
just
was a
saw trailer,
passageway
so-
where the trailer goes,
Yeah.
and they threw a couple of good-sized limbs there that, I can't, I just had surgery, I can't lift over anything over 5 pounds. I can't go in there and go clear the mess that the town made. Do I appreciate that the town does take care of the roads? Yes, I do, that's not my
So you say
complaint.
you have a picture. You show me the picture that you have of the debris
Then
that
I
you
told-
say needs to
Mhm.
be cleaned up.
Then I told Ashley, those trees have been there long before I built my house 25 years ago. I already told her there's so much coverage from the leaves that it's impossible to see exactly how much limbs there are under there. So the only ones that you can see are the larger limbs.
That are down on the ground that need to be cleaned.
Yes. When I talked to Todd, when he was leaving my property after what he had just done, he said, because I complained, because I'm like, there's a white pine on the corner bed of my driveway. I'd already trimmed it, but they felt that several more branches needed to come down, even though it was nowhere near. I had a truck. It doesn't even touch it. So anyways, but he chopped them down anyways. They left them in the bed. Everything else is along that whole side of
Because
that
I was just there today on my way home here, and I
Anyways,
saw
so
nothing on the
Paul-
ground.
He had Paul go back. On pin oaks, they fall on top of everything and you can't see it. You can roll your eyes all you want. Anyway, so he had Paul come back down. He took the white pine branches that were hacked and brought them over to the rest of the stuff where they were along my property line.
Jason,
First of all, point of clarification, this goes back 2 years. I told the homeowner that we were not gonna trim. That was not last year, that was the year prior. The letter came about last year. Okay. Cheryl acknowledged that letter, and in my opinion, that letter, by the way, wasn't, you weren't singled out. It was actually on private roads as well as public roads. The brush, the trimming action took place in a non-aggressive manner, in my opinion. All the brush is picked up, and by the way, it didn't go up East Brookfield, it went right over to the beach, and I can show you where it was and the pile of chips that it made as recently as last week. So all the debris that was cut down, I call it debris, the trimmings from the trees and hedges or fire bush or whatever you call it, they were picked up. And by the way, I think that 3 of 4 people in this room viewed all of the trimming action prior to any leaves coming down. I can acknowledge that. I think Ashley can. So leaf cover was not an issue when it was viewed. It's a very interesting point. We trimmed not just this location around the lake road, we trimmed many areas, and we were met with open arms. We received absolutely no complaints associated with our trimming action down there other than this.
Do you want me to approach you with my pictures? I'm sorry you can't touch my phone, but I will show you my pictures.
yeah, you're fine.
use that one, but let me dial in on this one. And show you some of the size of the limbs that were hacked with that machine. I know what the machine looks like. It's tilted on its side and it just goes through and just starts hacking away. I don't know if you can see them all, but it goes as far up, it goes even further. This is quite a ways up the tree.
How high up is that, do you think?
I couldn't even tell you. Here's a mailbox,
Yeah,
and then it just goes up and up and up, way
So
above where
that's-
it needs to.
that looks like it's up about 20 feet.
I don't even know that machine can get that high, can it?
Well, I can't tell you what it is, but you can clearly see the bark has been stripped. It's been stripped by that machine. It didn't fall on its own.
What's the diameter on
I'll show you these as well.
the diameter that you're allowed
So-
to cut with that machine?
Here's the mailbox.
You could, depends,
Sorry.
you can be
There's a
very
mailbox.
aggressive, you can be
Start
very,
seeing all of these, and these were clipped all the way up to there. Do I know how high that is? No. If you want to come back down, you're more than welcome to. There's plenty of pictures, so I don't want to just end on one.
And those branches are on the ground?
Yeah, they are. There's the mailbox. This is like the back property of mine where there's a roadway to get back to my boat. I mean, that's a good circumference for these limbs where they were hacked. Okay, so there's one, just trying to show you the size of what was taken down. If you want
Alright.
to see it this way, you can see it that way.
I'll go down.
It brings up
Well-
another point. There's a lot of trees that need to be removed, not just limbs, and I'm referring to the whole area.
This is a
in general.
roadway to my boat.
They're growing
Here's
into
some of
these
those
trees
pines
are
that they
this
took
big,
down and
we
just left them
literally
right there.
have to plow
They're all in
around
there.
them now in the past decade or so.
There's some
And
more.
it's becoming a bigger
So I don't know
problem
what you guys were
than what
looking
we're
at.
describing.
They're all
I
right
didn't go
there.
down.
Oh,
There's
I'm
areas
sorry.
there where
They're
it's
all
like
right there.
bring the grader through.
Yeah.
It has to be
They're-
done by hand and with another.
They're in there.
All right. Well, it's 6:15, so I have to do a hearing that we
They're
have.
all underneath.
So we're gonna have to hold this conversation for a few minutes. If you wanna go out, then, you can do that. But, it being 6:15, we will, open the meeting for the poll hearing. Do we need to read anything here?
Yeah, the petition.
Petition for the poll
Yeah.
location. You wanna read that, Jason, into the record? I think it's on the back. Petition.
Sure. National Grid requests permission to locate poles, wires, and fixtures, including the necessary sustaining and protecting fixtures along and across the following public way. Donovan Road, National Grid to install 4 SO poles. What's SO again? Solely owned poles on Donovan Road, beginning at a point approximately 100 feet east of the center line of the intersection of West Brookfield Road, and continuing approximately 450 feet in an easterly direction. National Grid to install 4 new poles, pole 45, pole 44, 43, 42 on Donovan Road. Location approximately as shown on plan attached, wherefore it prays that after due notice and hearing as provided by law, it be granted a location for and permission to erect and maintain poles and wires together with such sustaining and protecting fixtures as it may find necessary. Said poles to be erected substantially in accordance with the plan filed herewith marked Donovan Road, North Brookfield, Mass. Also for permission to lay and maintain underground laterals, cables, and wires in the above or intersecting public ways for the purpose of making connections with such poles and buildings as each of said petitioners may desire for distributing purposes. Your petitioner agrees to reserve space for 1 cross arm at a suitable point on each of said poles for the fire, police, telephone, and telegraph signal wires belonging to the municipality and used by it exclusively for municipal purposes. Where do we keep the telegraphs?
Is this to get the pole off of Hawkins' property? That all the wires go through the trees and they go, it snapped this in the fall. Cause that's right where it says, John Hawkins, 5 Donovan Road. There's a pole about 40 feet, maybe 30 feet in on his property. Is that what these are,
On 5 Donovan Road, there's a pole there,
on his property?
existing.
Yes. I'm wondering if, is that to, are you guys doing this to get that pole off his property? Cause that wire's come down twice now. And it snapped the pole once.
This is for reconductoring. There's single phase out there right now,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they're doing a long, reconductoring job for North Brookfield, and they're changing out a lot of overhead wires to, spacer cable. But this is for 4 new poles by the, I guess you would say, the start of Donovan Road. But basically, it's just so that they can take the single phase that goes down that whole road and turn it into spacer cable
Mm-hmm.
and bring it all the way down the road. And,
Cause he's gonna ask.
okay. The thing I'm a bit confused about is, cause on the map I have, I see 5 Donovan Road, and there's no existing pole in front of it. There is a existing pole 41 in front of 6 Donovan Road. And I actually did, before I came here, went over and drive over there, and I did see one pole, the existing pole 41, which was on the side of the road that it shows, but I didn't see another pole that came off of that. That's where it ended. So that's why I'm a bit confused.
Jason cut the tree up that took it down. It snapped the pole right off the ground.
Oh, and there's,
But I don't think there was, power on it. The power comes through the woods again to his house. But I was just curious if that's what this was gonna do, is eliminate that pole on his property.
I don't think so. I didn't see the pole while I was there, so I can't speak to what is. And I'm only here for the petition,
Mhm.
where we're putting in the new poles. I don't have the entire scope of the entire work request, because I've looked through it. It's multiple pages long. So if that's included, I don't know. That's really as much as I can say.
And the purpose of these 4 poles again is what?
It's for the spacer cable that they're bringing down the road, which is just 3-phase primary. It's because right now it's single phase out there, I believe, from the map that I have, and it's just adding 2 extra phases for. I don't know what their plans are, because I don't make those kinds of decisions, but that's what they wanted to do with this.
There's no solar projects going in down there that I know of.
And this all for carrying electricity?
Yeah.
Not for any other purpose?
You're not replacing poles, right? You're just adding to get to the end of the road?
These are new
I
poles.
believe, yeah, they are replacing poles.
Are they
But
replacing
these
them?
are new ones. For this petition, it's for the new ones, but I think the whole scope includes some pole replacements, just to account for the new spacer cable that's going up there.
So further up the road, up Donovan, will be replaced.
Yeah, I believe so.
So when you're gonna replace a pole, are you gonna pull the other one out in a short fashion of time?
That is how it should be done, but I don't have.
We've
the
got poles
answer.
here that have been double poles for 10 years.
I got a question. Jason, the last paragraph you read there, associated with what can be added to the pole or provision thereof.
Okay.
This is a solely owned pole, correct?
Yeah.
But you're allowing a provision for communication, telephone, cable to be added to the pole?
Yes. I believe that works where they rent the space from the sole.
So that then all of a sudden it becomes a joint owned pole, correct?
I don't know how that all works. I don't think they get joint ownership of it. I think we retain the ownership of it and they just rent the space from it.
Well, it raises a question that John just addressed. We're providing you with the permission of the selectmen to install these poles under a sole ownership. If something were to be added, does the town get another hearing? Or does National Grid provide
I think we provide.
you provide the permission?
Yeah, I think so.
So that's how Verizon's been skating around their issues.
We've got all these double poles in town and we can't get rid of them. They did a few downtown, this year, but that's the issue where you guys keep adding poles and you're not
Well-
taking the other ones out. So if you're gonna replace poles on Donovan, we'd like to, in the shortest amount of time, see the original pole go away. So when you guys have to work with cable and phone and telegraph, whatever's on there, we can't keep having these poles doubled up all over town.
Can I make a suggestion to the board?
No. Go ahead.
And do what you want with it. The existing poles there that are gonna be replaced, some gonna be added, some gonna be replaced. Could it be conditional that the second pole be removed prior,
In a timely fashion,
even given a time frame?
Can
I
we
mean,
give them a-
we're talking years now on some of these other ones.
It's a good question.
can we give them like 60 days to get the second pole out?
And
Or something.
and that requires a transfer, probably cable or communication. That's usually what's hold this whole operation up.
Right, yeah.
So I think it could maybe be a coordinated effort in a timely fashion that's already hasn't been working, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause we can call, who's the contact now, I think,
Carl Hartwick.
yeah, let's see, he's our agent, maybe we can see about,
How to get the.
I've had this conversation with him prior.
about how to get these old poles out.
And Verizon and the other entities just could, I don't wanna use the word could care less, where it's,
Do you know what they do with these old poles?
I'm trying to get them.
That's why I'm asking if he knows what they do with them.
I think Verizon keeps them. I don't know what they do with them.
Okay.
He's the new guy. He's no contacts yet.
Well, I'm sure we could somehow get on that.
Yeah, I think,
We have to call Mr. Hatwick and say, you know, we're not gonna keep giving you poles if you don't pull the old ones out. And pressure him to go after the cable guys and the phone guys to
Yeah,
give him 60 days or whatever.
Yeah, and he is very apologetic, but it kinda seems.
Well, we
to
can
be-
have the cable guy in and
Yeah.
talk to him too.
yeah,
'Cause we have a contract with Spectrum, right?
yeah, that's coming up, we got a
I
group,
emailed Jake, and he said he was gonna get together.
yeah, Jake was supposed to get a group to,
I'll check on that tomorrow.
yeah, to negotiate that new Spectrum deal, 'cause
Mhm.
LPAC has a
Mm-hmm.
stake in it, so.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, are you done beating poor guy up?
I'm just laying it out there, you know, I mean, it's a problem in town. I don't see any problem with these poles, you know,
Yeah.
where they're going and whatnot. There's no butters here that are complaining. Did they all get, they must have all got
Yeah, they got notified.
notified.
They got all the
you know.
I'd like to point out one thing, National Grid's been wonderful, very responsive to the town's needs, and that's really not what's holding things up.
Yeah.
And I want you to be clear about that.
Put the poor guy in the hot seat, I'm glad you made
Yeah, I
it.
know.
Trying to ease up work.
His blood pressure went up and everything.
I move to approve the poll, placement as written in the petition.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Just to ask, so this is being approved on the condition that they have a certain time frame to remove the.
No, we can't do that now.
Yeah, no, we'll make a phone call and see if we can't get somebody to.
You can tell him that though.
Yeah.
How about this, we're gonna give you this one, that's an extra.
Can you guys sign
We're just looking to get these things taken care of, that's all, because they're all over the place, and
Yeah.
one thing, they look ugly, they're
I,
taking up sidewalk space, downtown, and,
I've had another town say the same thing, but it's tough on our end because we don't control Verizon, so we have to
Right.
fight them too to
Yeah.
get them to do. And I don't know what's the state where they're coming right now.
yeah.
I think it's like landline that runs the pole, so it's just split up differently.
Yeah.
That makes any sense.
We're just trying to get,
Yeah, I
what we can,
understand.
that's all.
All right, we got, a minute or two before the next, hearing, So I'll close the poll hearing.
Mm-hmm.
And then, we have final approval on the parade thing.
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
Next one.
They were clipped together.
There's,
So I talked to the chief today about this. Everything is,
yeah, he sent me an email, and the Lana Stocks had sent him an email with all the information, and he said he's gonna have extra police on, people directing traffic and stuff, so
okay,
if you wanna
yeah.
give the final approval, you can sign that.
So December 5th, that's this Saturday,
Sorry about that.
5 o'clock.
We did sign that.
5 o'clock's the setup, so the parade will start at 6 and go till 7:30. The parade floats will be static along School Street, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then people can drive. I think there's a traffic pattern that we have here.
They're making it one way
One way
going onto,
onto Main Street.
Onto
So
Main
come
Street.
down Grove
yeah.
to schools.
He was explaining it to me earlier.
Is there gonna be a pace car or a speed limit for everybody, or?
Yeah, viewers will enter the parade route on the Grove Street side and exit onto Main Street.
Right,
So
okay.
that'll all be one way.
One way. I guess you can make as many passes as you'd like.
I guess so.
It's not, and I still think they're looking for floats. I saw something on the Facebook thing the other day, so if anybody's interested in decorating up a float, I would get in touch with Glenna Stocks, or somebody on the NB Helps group. Yeah, so if nobody has any objections, I'll entertain a motion to approve the parade
So moved.
thing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so I will now open the tax certification hearing. We're hearing you.
Okay, this notice was published in the newspaper, but public notice of tax classification. It was in the legal notice in the Telegram Gazette on November 24th, so you can know that. But I'm going to ask tonight that we postpone this hearing for 1 week until we see what's happening.
So what's happening with what?
The tax rate.
Oh, we still haven't handed it. Okay. All right.
And then we'll know by next week what we're doing, I'm sure what you're doing, actually.
Okay.
Because I gave, Ashley sent you the emails today.
Yeah, the recap stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
I sent you copies of fiscal 20,
Yeah.
and I sent you copies of fiscal 21 that we've done so far, but we're still over the levy limit, so, so.
Well, we go to the levy limit, right? The 2.5. A few years ago, I went to Nancy,
Okay.
because I had done a historic look back of the budget of all of our money. And I said, so we have a levy limit of 2.5, which only translate to $165,000, which we really can't do much with the school, all the different union pay increases. So that's wiped out, and we far exceed that anyway. So to do the budget, we said, well, how are we going to fund all this stuff? So I looked back on the historic local receipts, pilots, all the revenue that we had, and it came in about 3, 4, 5%. So I asked Nancy if we just take 2.5% over our historic revenues, is that safe? And she said, yes, she didn't have any problem with that. So that's the way we've been doing the budget, and I will note for you that the last 3 years, we have had no less than $380,000 in free cash each of those years. 1 year, $700,000. This year, $403,000 in free
But
cash.
free cash doesn't affect the tax rate or anything. It's just money that's there that's transferred back and forth.
It's the budget. we have money left
Right,
over.
that's part of it, yeah, that you can
Right.
use to,
It's money that came into the town throughout the year that hadn't been appropriated in the year prior, which is now available to use to appropriate. In years past, they've taken that money and given pay increases. Well, how do you rely on that money to give pay increases that follow you each year in the budget with that one-time cash infusion?
I don't do that part of it.
See?
I just plug in all the figures that are given to me from, the actual receipts, the estimated receipts, the cherry sheets. I've got copies of what I sent you. Do you want some copies to look at?
No, I saw it, and I've seen the recap sheet, and I've gone over it with Nancy in prior years. I went over it with Tom last year, and I know what the recap sheet shows a deficit, which
Right.
means our levy is 2.5%, which is the levy limit, which is what we've done every year, which is why we can't.
Well, the levy limit is the last sheet I gave you, and I checked it down here.
Yeah, that's the recap, right?
No, this is the levy limit. This is what we're allowed to raise and appropriate, okay?
Okay,
So we do our base from last year, okay, from fiscal 20. They add 2.5 to that. We got our growth certified, and that was actually higher than we estimated, so that gave us a little bit more. And then that figure plus what we have for debt exclusions, payments, and figures out what the payments are, not we own totally, what the payments will be for 21.
mhm.
So that figure down here is $7,198,000. So on the recap, the top, our raise and appropriate is $7,000,006. So obviously, you can't raise more than so we have to reduce the raise and appropriate to get down to the $7,100,000. So I've been talking to the Department of Revenue. I talked to Mr. Guzman, who is our rep, and I talked to him and I emailed him also. And I asked him if he would just look at the recap. I've looked at it, Nancy's looked at it, Priscilla's looked at it, Lisa's looked at it. He looked at it, and I just said to him, does everything look okay? All the forms we filled out so far. But he said, obviously, your figure is over. You have to reduce your raise and appropriate.
So local receipts don't go into the raise and appropriate?
Well, they offset.
Right, which is a big shell game. That's the whole problem. It's a big shell game in Boston. Like, we have, so what about the cherry sheets with our
I gave
usually?
you all those, and last year's versus this year, and the one figure, Nancy, of course, she has to write, when as accountants, she always had to write a letter about page 3, because we estimate every year what we think we'll collect, say the big one, of course, is the motor vehicle.
Yeah.
So, actual receipts for fiscal 20 were $572,800, okay? Good, that was over what we estimated for last year. Now, the estimated receipts you gave me, that figure that you plugged in was 500, that you told me that you used for purposes, was 584. We've never done that. We've never gone over that figure that we actually collected. I talked to Nancy about it. She said normally she's very, careful about that. And she usually goes under what the actual receipt is.
But I got, the numbers I gave you,
Yeah?
I got from the annual town report, which was reported by the accountant of actual receipts. So, I mean,
Oh, no, the actual receipts are correct. Absolutely. It's the estimated that helps us, this figure on page 3, that helps us offset what we can raise and appropriate, okay? So, but she feels it's a little high, she'd like to, because she has to send a letter, you have to send a letter and explaining why you're doing this figure and that figure, so,
So you need to
So that's
knock down some
the
of your estimates, is that what you're saying?
Well, a little bit on the motor vehicle. I think she would feel more comfortable, just a little bit, to come down with that, maybe below what we collected, because I talked to the tax collector, and she said, you can't guarantee if you're gonna get a lot of new cars or whatever, So you don't wanna overestimate what you think you're gonna get. You'd rather be a little bit under, and if you get a little bit more, well, that does help us, that definitely helps us. But the bottom line is, we have too much raise and appropriate right now.
Can we
So
figure
then-
that out by
so
next week?
Huh?
Can we figure that out by next week?
Oh, I know what it is.
Oh,
Oh, right now, it's like 424,000.
1,000,
But if we do a little bit on the, I talked to Nancy, I'm emailing her, I have her look at things too. I mean, she's gotta give some, I mean, I'm just plugging figures in, this is all I'm doing. Obviously, if you look at the cherry sheet from last year to this fiscal year, our choicing out figure went way up.
250,000
Yeah,
over last year,
yeah,
which comes out of the general budget, not the school budget, which is a problem.
Right.
So choice in money
yep,
goes directly into the school. Choice out money
choice,
comes out of the general budget.
right. But we have to put the choice in the offsets on page 2. We use that 400 and something $1,000. And so what I did is well, that's why I gave you all of fiscal 20 and 21, so you can see where I got figures for 20, our tax rate was set for
Mhm.
last year. Where I got the figures for 21, I've got copies of everything, hard copies, and just so you could see where the figures are. And, I mean, there were just some things that came out higher than I think we estimated when we were trying to do our budget.
Like what? Do you know where
Well,
we?
obviously the choice out, that was a huge thing.
Choice out, and the other one was charter tuition money. That went
Well,
up
yeah, the
another.
two, the two. Yeah,
30 or
I count that as
40,000.
choice.
Oh, so that's almost 300,000 right there.
Right,
Yeah.
because if what I sent you on, I mean, I got copies.
But
of
normally
all-
we have these cherry sheets when we're doing the budget. This year we just got the cherry sheet like a week ago. So
I know, but I just.
How do you-
My job is just to plug in what we've got.
I know,
And
but from the town's perspective, how does the finance committee and how does the town know what the raise and appropriate is if we don't have the cherry sheets to tell us what our choice in money is going to
Well,
be?
we always know what we're gonna, usually if you look at the levy limit, we know what that is in the summer. We can give you that form. We don't know what our growth is until we get that certified, but we got that
But
certified.
the levy limit money,
Yep,
if we were to max out our levy limit at 2.5%.
and most years we do.
Well, we have to because it's only 165,000. So we get 165,000 by going to the levy limit max.
Right.
That's wiped out. This year, I can tell you it was 124,000 of it was taken by the school. And that was only at a 2% increase when they were looking for 8%.
Yeah.
So we gave them what we could, but that only leaves $40,000 to fund all the other things in town.
And I know that, and I've been doing this for 30-something years, so I do know that. But the point is that I plugged all the figures in, and we can't set a tax rate because our raise and appropriate is too high. So we've got to go back to town meeting and to lower that. Now, I did look into a pro forma, third quarter tax bill, thinking that we could send out estimated bills, but you can't if your budget is not level funded. And I got an email back from the Department of Revenue on that. I confirmed that with them. I mean, I read it, I knew it, but I just wanted them to confirm with me. That was made up more, and we did it once many years ago, and we were doing revaluation of values, and we were having a hard time getting certification because it was a busy time in the fall and everybody was trying to get this through. So we applied for what they call a pro forma third quarter preliminary tax bill to send out, just to get the money, get the bills out, get some money. And we didn't have to use it. We got our valuation certified, we were able to get our tax rate done, and we got our bills out on time. It was fine. But I did look at that, but we can't do it because our budget is over.
So is there anything that we can lower on the raise and appropriate? I mean,
No, you have to go back to town meeting.
no, but I
because-
mean, what are we gonna go to town meeting and say? We need to lower it, but we need to specify where we're lowering it from.
Right, no, you have to rescind, raise and appropriate figures that we voted you know, in, June, and if we did any in,
So we just say $400,000 off the raise and appropriate, rescind it?
from, yeah, right, from what, but you have to specify.
Yeah.
Highway for sure.
That's what I'm.
Yeah, highway.
I'm telling you, it's not it's not anything I really wanted to know, but I can't not tell you this, so, because we can't get a tax rate set with it, the way it is. It's never happened. It's never happened. But, I mean, sometimes
we
we get
got-
close, you know?
But we have over $1 million now in stabilization.
Right.
Which is why we put them into stabilizations, because we didn't think it was, the COVID stuff was gonna hit us this year. We thought the COVID would hit us in the next fiscal year.
Right.
But it looks like, I mean, how are the choice out money, we lost that many students choicing out?
That, you can just throw that up in the air and you don't know where it's gonna land, because every year it's different. I think the choice out numbers, I think, you can check with the school, are locked in October 1st. So who's ever in or out of the school system by that date, we have to pay. So there could be kids that leave in December, and I don't know exactly, but I know that there's an October date for
It
that.
would have been nice to get an update on that from the school.
But that's 250 more than last year, which was pretty high last year, so, you know, that's like a $600,000.
That's why I gave
whack.
you all the forms, just so
Mhm.
you could see where this is. I mean, this is, all I do is take pieces from you and town meeting, and it's all the cherry sheet, and it's a formula, you just plug everything in. There's
Alright.
only one line that the assessors have anything to do with, that we have choice, and that's for our abatements and our exemptions. So other than that, so the only way to justify to get a tax rate would be go back to town meeting and rescind, raise and appropriate, you have to have the proper language, where, you know, pick out 3 or 4 different things that come up to 400, and we're gonna have to probably do a little bit with the motor vehicle. So it might be somewhere around 440 or 50,000, and rescind that maybe from this and this and this, you know, 3 or 4 things, and transfer from stabilization to those different departments to finish the budget for the year. That's the only way to do it.
Yeah.
Now, the problem is, it's December 1st. Takes 2 weeks to call a meeting, posted, you can call it, but it's gotta be posted.
Yeah, I gotta post for 2 weeks, yeah.
Then, at that point, so let's say the earliest would be 2 weeks from Thursday night. Let's say you guys have an emergency meeting tomorrow night, decide where this is all coming from, type it up and post it on Thursday morning, okay? So 2 weeks from Thursday, go to the meeting, we could have our class, that's why I was gonna originally talk to Ashley, I was gonna go 2 weeks, but I'm only going 1 week, because we'll see where we're at with what you decide to do. And then we could have a classification hearing that night, okay? Because I'll plug everything into the computer and get all the forms ready. We would submit everything to the Department of Revenue the next day. Now, they're gonna get it the Friday before Christmas. So hopefully we get our tax rate back early, then it has to go to point to be reconciled, and then the information has to be sent back to Lisa, the tax collector, for her to print the bills, and they have to be mailed out by December 31st in order to have the next payment due February 1st and the one after that, May 1st. If they're mailed after the 1st of the year, then everything's due on May 1st.
And then that affects our revenue stream, right? And we don't
Ann
have.
said, yes, I've talked to her too.
Now, that goes to, so you can do all that before we actually have the town meeting vote to do all that, right?
And pray that it all goes through, but I mean, we really don't have a whole lot of choice here at this point. Yes, I can have all those forms ready. Nancy and I have been working on that, getting everything together, filling out the forms. I had Mr. Guzman look at everything. He told me yesterday that he had 6 people ahead of me that were asking for their tax rates to be set, but he would look at things, so he did kind of look, you know, preliminary, so So, you call it.
So we need to get, one of those forms that we get to see what money is left where, right?
No, at this point, you're gonna, you can have one article if you want. You can have one article. Article would be to rescind, say, 440, raise and appropriate, it has to be the proper language.
Yeah.
Rescind, raise and appropriate, say approximately 440,000 at this point, let's just use that figure. And, from this, and this, and further, to transfer from stabilization, this figure to this, and this, so that you can fill those budgets. I think that's the only way to, I don't know, that's the way, you know.
Right, which means we need one of those forms to see what was appropriated into those,
Oh,
into the
yeah,
different
you
budgets.
mean you're talking about the town meeting?
like, yeah, town meeting
Oh, yeah.
spreadsheet that
Sure.
does the.
I mean, I've got copies, Tara's got copies, I mean, we've all got copies. I've got copies, I can give them to Ashley in the morning.
I think
Okay.
I have copies too, I must.
Yeah, well, just make sure you get the final, I mean, because I've changed, well, there's a couple of things there, but I think.
Yeah, send me what you
Yeah,
have, 'cause
oh,
you got the
we'll
other.
scan them in, we'll
Yeah.
scan them in, and you can just, because we did most of our, as you can see, on page 4, this is where the town meetings are entered. And most of the raise and appropriates were done in June, okay? June.
Yeah, that's because of the COVID thing, we had to put everything off when we did our town meeting in June and,
Right,
yeah,
right.
so.
So it's the only meeting you really need is the June 5th. So what you're gonna be doing is just rescinding the raise and appropriate from boom, 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 and transferring from stabilization to doom.
But we don't have to put the same amount back in
No.
if we just rescind the raise and appropriate on certain things, we're effectively reducing, right? And
Right.
only refunding, so like
Right.
people are taking a cut.
Right, so if you rescind 150,000 out of the healthcare for Ann, and she has our insurance or whatever it would be, you don't have to fund that at this point.
We can put it back in later.
You can put it
Right.
back in later, you can
If we need
use, you don't have any free cash, but free cash can go in and out anytime during the year.
But we put a lot of the free cash stuff
Right.
into two different stabilizations
Right.
and into the FinCom.
So you have a little bit of, leeway here, but the bottom line is, the raise and appropriate has to be reduced in order for us to get our tax rates up.
Okay,
And we told we talked to Lisa, I said, Lisa, if God willing, we get this through, believe me,
And that's why we put that money in those places.
on
because-
time,
Something like
it's
that.
So
on
we
time,
can-
we will help her with all the tax bills and we'll do them all in one day.
so we can post the town meeting, right? We can post for the town meeting, because all we have to do is put one article, and the article is to rescind from the raise and appropriate an amount of money to balance our budget.
Right,
Right.
Then the motions, we can work it out over 2 weeks,
perfect.
right?
Yes,
Yeah,
but
so
it's,
instead of
and the thing is to get that posted, so you gotta get it posted as soon as possible. So we
Okay,
can have the meeting as soon as possible.
so why don't we set a date 2 weeks from tomorrow night, maybe?
That's the 16th, that's a Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday night?
The 18th is that Friday.
The sooner the better, because I'm gonna have the class, oh, wait a minute, okay, yeah.
16th would be
I'll have
here.
the classification hearing that same night, well, I'll decide next week, whatever you guys come up with for a date. We'll do boom, ba-boom, ba-boom, and then we can send everything to the Department of Revenue, and they know it's coming, because I've talked to them.
Where are you gonna have the meeting?
We'll just have it here.
Yeah, we
Here.
do here.
Be enough here? Enough room?
We'll make
Just
sure
need-
there's enough, they only need 10 people, right?
Yes.
This place is gonna be loaded with Toys for Tots
How
stuff.
about the
Oh,
senior
right.
center? We've had them there before. You guys
Yeah.
have had them there.
Yeah, we'll have to do the
Yeah,
senior
senior
center.
center, yeah.
We'll have to do
Sharon.
Yeah, it's too late to get to school probably, right?
Yeah,
I think that's gonna be too big of a space anyway,
Well, you
it's just
never
one
know.
article.
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, Senior center.
Well,
Yeah.
Sharon's working with the senior center, it's not open yet, but she's been in there
Yeah.
cleaning and,
Yeah.
So, senior
Stuff.
center it is.
Senior
So we'll
Center
have the,
on-
oh, that's on Wednesday, okay.
on the
Wednesday.
16th.
Yep,
make sure there's no planning board meeting, or they can have.
7 p.m.
Yeah, 7. Well, I don't know. Do we need it at 7 p.m.?
No, but that's usually when we have them, but I don't care. 6 o'clock is fine with me. I'll be better.
I don't care.
People will probably be happier since it's a work night.
Yeah, get in at
6
6.
o'clock.
It's one article,
Mhm.
Yeah.
quick vote. We need 10 people to
All you
get
have
it
to do
done.
is get the warrant together, at least 2 selectmen sign it, boom. And we could post an emergency meeting, you know, for tomorrow, so that I'll work with Ashley, Tara will, you know, and as long as 2 of you sign it, you can get it probably posted tomorrow.
Yeah, let's do that.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah, we can post for an emergency selectmen meeting.
Yeah, emergency meeting for tomorrow evening.
Whatever time, you're not around.
I'm around after 5.
You wanna
Usually.
get it posted before that. Are you around before, in the morning?
I can be.
Well, I can do it in the
yeah,
morning.
Afternoon.
I know you're around.
It'd be
I got
probably
something
like 2
that's very
o'clock.
important to do tomorrow.
I can be there around 2.
Okay.
And then we can
Won't
get
be there
Tim
at
to
2.
post it.
Sorry, I got the key.
Okay. I'll just type up the warrant, print it, and leave
We
it on
can-
the,
Yeah, we can.
I'll stay and make sure it gets posted.
okay.
You know, once he's signed,
Yeah,
I'll
we
make
can get it
sure.
posted.
Oh, wait a minute, we gotta have another one signed. Come on.
But
You gonna sign the warrant?
if I have to, I'll show up.
I'll bring it up to your house if
I'll-
you
I'll
have to. I
do
know
it.
where you live.
I'll do it just for you, Sheila.
Thank you. Thank you. I
So,
appreciate it.
Corey,
Me, it's for
Corey
all
tells
of
me
us.
that the meeting cannot
As long
be
as
held
you're lowering the
live
tax rate,
on
I'll sign.
LPAC.
I don't know what the tax rate's
If we
gonna be.
hold it at the senior center, it can only
Oh.
be broadcast later.
Well, it's not a board of selectmen meeting, it's just one,
Yeah.
It's a town meeting, and we've done them there before, so.
Yeah, well, all the camera stuff's been moved over here because
Oh.
this is
And
where we have
and
our.
hopefully Jim Caldwell's around, but if he's not,
Yeah.
You
We'll
can
do
do
it yeah, we'll do it the old-fashioned
we
way.
can do that, you know? It's not that hard to do.
Back in the 1800s, they used to elect the town moderator the night of the special town meeting. That was the first order of business, elect the
So
town
it's
moderator.
Ken who was on the good side of people.
Yeah, it was the famous, you know,
Or the
popular
bad
guy,
side.
yeah.
Or the
So what
bad
did you
side,
say, we
that's
can't
true.
have it over there because of the cameras out there anymore?
Well, we can have it there, but they cannot broadcast it live. They can only record it
And
and
then-
broadcast it later. But I think under the COVID rules now,
Mhm.
that's acceptable, as long as it's
Yeah.
put up
Yeah. that's
quickly
fine.
afterwards, because we don't allow for remote voting, so it
No,
doesn't
it
really
never has
matter.
been. Because through the years, people would call me, I can't make town meeting, can I do absentee? I'd say, no, I have to be there for town meeting.
Yeah.
You know, voting.
Yeah.
you
Well,
know.
because sometimes there are motions to amend made, so you may have voted absentee on something that's later amended.
Right.
I also tell people, you know, we could have 4 or 5 articles. Your first article is to get $1 million to do whatever you want with, and then he leaves. And someone could bring it up again at
That's
the
right.
end and have
Yeah.
another vote.
That's right.
So it's always good to stay to the end.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what Jim,
Sure.
Jim Caldwell, I don't know, usually he's around, I just saw him coming out of the wine store. So, he must be right back this time of night.
He's prepping for that meeting already?
So,
All right.
All right, we'll do that.
okay.
so what time are you doing?
6.
6 o'clock,
p.m.
senior center,
Senior Center,
16th,
Wednesday.
Wednesday the
Oh.
16th.
Thank you, we can get it right into the Department of Revenue then.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So there is a chance that we'll get our tax rate set the week of Christmas. She won't be happy, but, you know, once the bills are printed, they're printed, and we'll help her. I'll check in and we'll get it done.
Yeah, yeah, all right, and then, we'll have to, alert the finance committee, so the finance committee can have a meeting.
And that'll give them some time to decide what they wanna do with the different budgets.
Yeah,
Which
well,
I
I just
better
need
know.
the figures for the motion, I don't need that for the warrant itself.
No, for
so-
the warrant
okay.
itself, it's gonna be to
Very
rescind from the raise and appropriate
Right.
from the June whatever meeting,
Whatever.
a
whatever-
sum
I'm
of
just gonna
money
say a sum of money,
to
yeah.
balance the budget.
Okay,
That was easy.
And then when the motion comes up,
That's when you're gonna talk about it more.
yeah,
You're
and then,
defining it.
yeah, we'll specify from where we're getting the money to balance.
mhm.
uh,
Cool.
and we'll pass it by town council so that the language is correct before we
Yep.
do the motion.
So I'm sorry I didn't have better news.
Yeah.
So did you vote on that it's okay to postpone it for a week?
So moved.
Yeah, motion made, second to postpone the tax classification for 1 week.
Right, because I have to have that, and when I do the class, when we actually have the classification, even next week I'll have another one. So we'll decide, but I just didn't wanna put it off for 2 weeks, just in case something happens. So, next week I'll have to come back before you and say, okay, we're gonna postpone it until the night of the town meeting. The meeting's at 6, I would say by 6:30 we should be done, and then we can have the classification hearing right then.
All in favor of
Okay.
postponing the classification?
All in favor?
Aye.
Value.
Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
Sorry I didn't have better news.
So, before we get into other stuff, do you wanna see if Cheryl's outside waiting?
Yeah, just we gotta,
So,
But she took a back, I assumed she
yeah, but
left.
she was waiting in her car
You
Oh.
missed the first one.
because she's nervous.
Yeah,
So,
I know she hasn't been well.
right, so I'll go see if she's out there.
all right. We're not gonna spend too much more time on this issue either, so.
You're home, I just got home. You too eventually. That's all.
No, you-
Thank you, Sheila.
Thank
She's
you.
in the other end of the lobby.
Oh, I'm gonna go over here so she can come past me, how's that? Jeez, thing keeps falling down. So you'll be around tomorrow?
Yeah, what do you need, me at 2 or before,
Oh,
or?
I'd say before.
So I won't get there till 2.
John, I'll text you when I have it ready to go.
Okay.
Okay.
Or you
But I'll
can
be
call
there
and I'll
till
answer the
2.
phone.
I'll be there, and then we'll get it posted right off.
Okay.
Good,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, so,
So that goes away.
Alright, so John was gonna go there tomorrow and look at the trees in question.
Yep. I'll go.
John, can you take my phone number down and call me so
Sure.
that I can
Yep.
come out there with you?
What is it?
Please, I will ask for a mask.
Yep.
Cause I know we're gonna be closer than 6 feet. It's 508 633 7539.
Okay.
Thank you.
um,
So do we wanna leave this bench it until John comes down to the property and I can show him what I see versus what you see?
right,
Okay,
that's fine.
that's fine.
And we'll, because he looked and I looked, he'll look again and come back to us and,
My pictures that I took, I don't know when you took your pictures, mine were on November 5th.
this was, well, I took some, obviously the one that's up right now was, weeks ago.
I think I was looking from the other road.
You were unfortunately, being a corner lot, you wouldn't have known because when you saw my address, you just assumed that that was the area that I was talking
Front of
about.
the
I
house, yeah.
understand.
Yeah, but I looked for the
Technically,
burning bush and that's when I saw it on that side of the road, so that's why I took that picture. Now when I went today, I took a bunch of pictures and there's no leaves on that bush now. It's just bare, so, I did look from that side and that's why I didn't see any limbs that were blocking any entranceways or anything like that, but,
When was the cutting done?
On the day that I can, well, wait a minute, no.
I have it written down, but not with me, I can't tell you exactly. It was long before the.
Obviously, it was at least September, right? 'Cause-
Well, wait.
Is-
My first phone call to you in regards to when these clippings happened was on September 18th. And I called Jason 3 times between 9:18 and 9:25, and on that third call I never reached him.
So it was
Directly,
prior
it was always voicemail.
prior to September 18th is when the work was done.
9:18, on that day, it was done.
Alright. That's all I got until John goes and looks at it.
all right, we'll step this back, until we get a report from John and, we'll revisit it.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Alright.
John, give me a call. I'm there.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, so, I don't see any other business, we're entering into an executive session, so I'll take a motion to enter into executive session for, exemption number 1.
Probably
Only
like
to,
9-ish.
we'll exit
Nine.
only to adjourn,
Okay,
Only to adjourn,
Thank you.
correct.
right? So moved.
I missed it.
Motion to enter executive session for exemption number 1, and then we'll only re-enter
Hold on one
open
second.
session to adjourn.
Okay.
That was the motion.
Yep, second.
Made seconded, all in favor?
Jason Petrarch, yes?
Dale Kiley, yes?
Yes.
That's John Tripp.
Yeah, John Tripp. Of course, yes.
All right, good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.